Hello, 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 everyone. My name is Diamond Rivera of Live Discussions with Diamond, and I have a very special guest, actually, a past guest, the first guest of the season one, Miss Marietta Villalobos.
Hello, everybody.
Yes, to me, this has definitely been very anticipated for me because you in my eyes were my first episode when I started this, and I knew that with our conversation that I had to really start seeking and researching and understanding what's in our culture. Sometimes we're kind of blind of seeing it, but when you really look deeply, you see that, hey, there are some issues that face our dance community, and we need to have people like you that are speaking up to motivate and inspire other people.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, really, I don't consider myself too much of a leader other than I stand up for what I believe in and I teach people dance. So the fact that I can do something that I love, which is teach dance and influence people to speak their minds and stand up for their truth is, I think, just the best job that I can do, a service to the planet.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, from when we first talked, you being a member of the kizomba community, and I actually, since our first discussion, got to go on YouTube and like just search you, and I'm just seeing like the reach that you've had, the different events that I hear about. You're at a lot of these events, and you're teaching as well. For me, it's like it's an honor, honestly, to teach or to talk to someone from your stature because I mean, for me, I'm so used to salsa and bachata, but in my eyes, I see the work that you're doing and I see that you're doing something commendable, something that everyone should be doing, but not a lot of people would really take the time out to educate people on a dance level, but also humanity purposes.
Yeah, I think a lot of reasons people do that is just reflecting on the advice that I get on how I can be a better businesswoman, how to make more money, how to get booked, is to just be quiet more often. Marietta,
Hmm.
stop being so loud. Marietta, stop talking about these uncomfortable subjects. People don't want to get on Facebook and hear you talk about, childhood trauma or sexual abuse
Yeah,
or, pedophilia or racism. They just want to see you dance. When you
yeah,
all that extra stuff, then people get off put. And I don't know how you separate the arts, but most of the time, what I've noticed is whenever you have people that are really famous for an art, if you talk to them and you get to know them,
mhm,
you realize they've actually been through a lot. And
yeah,
most of the time, the reason that they put in so much time and training into what they do is because they were going through so much. And so um, it reminds me of my favorite show, like the new shows of
mhm,
generation. It's called The Magicians on Facebook, on Netflix, and
mhm.
magic comes from pain, and I feel like that's where art comes from. It's like the more you can feel, and the more diversity of feelings you have and experiences, the more you can relate, and the more you can put into your art. So it kind of goes hand in hand, like real life and music and dance and expression.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me to see you really I think you've always been focusing, but to see especially on social media your influence with women but also men teaching about the positives of body positivity and
Mhm.
the object of body image because you know um we had talked about it privately about these classes that you were doing or starting up and you were just wondering just to seeing who would try it and now you're like literally I think what sometimes you're just overcrowded and you have to just like it's become a craze in my eyes in a sense.
Yeah, it has. It's really it is really wild. People who have seen me since the beginning in 2014, or ever before I even moved to Texas,
Mhm.
have watched me grow. They're like, you did well in kizomba, and you did even better. You did even better with that Ashinya, but like I think you found your niche because the first workshop that I did had 100 participants, and I wasn't expecting that at all. I actually had to
Mhm.
hire somebody, pay somebody to manage that Zoom class for me.
Wow.
Yeah, so now I'm my main purpose was like coming from Central America, we have African Caribbean influence, and so then we
Mhm.
have a lot of this hip movement just being Latinx in general. And then being from Louisiana, everybody was moving their hips in
Yeah.
different ways. And so it was never like a bad thing. It was just part of the culture here in the South. And so then, moving to Texas, even though it's still considered the South, it's a little bit different.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't have that much Caribbean influence the way that Louisiana does. So I didn't see moving the hips as such a bad thing. And the worldview is it's ancient, it's old. They say tradition is peer pressure from dead people. And so that's truly what I believe. I feel like dancing, especially moving a pelvis for women
Hmm.
who have had babies, we're disconnected from our womb, we're disconnected from our pelvis, and we let other people tell us how we should think about our bodies and how we should think about these movements. And in reality, if you trace these movements back to Africa, they're very spiritual, ancestral movements. Yeah, we're getting approval here. See,
Yeah.
little one knows he's more connected than we are. So I think if we just take that back, and from a survivor, from my perspective, when I move my body, I empower myself. I take back
Hmm.
from me. And so I think that's a really powerful way of doing it, just like reconnecting with your body. Because I can speak from a woman's perspective, we're really disconnected from our pelvis, from our vaginas. We're
Hmm.
extremely disconnected from that. And so the way that we feel is largely influenced by media and by men, or by women who themselves are really, really ingrained in the system.
Yeah.
And so then naturally we feel kind of like it's like this foreign thing. It's not really ours. It's for other people. So when we start to move it and we start to really engage and move the energy, not only is it good for the flow of blood and oxygen and
Hmm.
the spinal fluid going up and down your spine. Um, I mean, these kinds of movements can be found way back in history as things that are like pelvic movement therapy. You can think about it a lot of ways. It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
just movement. Chiropractors tell you the benefit of moving your pelvis. So when we take back that and we do twerking and we do men and women, because
Yeah.
that's what I'm allowing everybody, no matter what you identify
Yes.
as, it's anybody can participate. And I think that that's the safe space that I want to create, is for men not to feel like whenever they do see people twerking, it's because they're either at a strip club or they're like in some place where they're not allowed to be safe, in a safe space,
Hmm.
feel something other than just sexual thoughts, but to actually appreciate how hard it is to twerk.
Yes.
It's hard to
it's for the last, I'd say, maybe 10 plus years, and you've really seen that phenomenon, that dance craze. It's been ingratiated in our community, but people don't realize that goes way back. And especially in New Orleans, I had to learn, was it's because you talked about with dancing and the object of moving your hips and where you came from. My understanding as well from New Orleans was, hey, they were, when you had the Trigger Man beat, and that was the start of those, little dive parties and dance parties and DJ Jubilees and the Katie Reds. And for me, getting that knowledge and understanding, it's not just strip club music. It's not just the stereotypical way of being used. It's actually it's ingratiated in families, but it's a fun, it's a liberation aspect. For me, from my understanding, like, and I'm learning so much from you because you're going through the history of why you do what you do.
Yes, yes. I mean, we get, if you draw back a lot of what we believe in general, just look back at the history of where it comes from. It'll either come from or religion. It usually comes from one of those places, right? So regardless of where it comes from, the body and the woman, from the earliest writings back in ancient Rome, it depicts us as not as equals, but as like product, basically.
Hmm.
Just walking wombs, walking incubators to produce and to serve. So, I mean, I know that we can relate to that. And just in general, like anything that's black, anything that's brown is it's fetished,
Hmm.
and it's I was actually having a talk with my sister yesterday, and she was saying like back in the day, um, white people didn't really like have music, rhythm, the way
Hmm.
that African people did. And she was telling me a story about how American music like evolved and how it was like this white man was passing by a field and there was a black man who was like singing, humming a song
Hmm.
while he was doing his work. And that this man then went, put on blackface and performed his perspective of what black music and slave music basically sounded
Hmm.
like. And the white people loved it because it was like a way for them to participate, but guilt free in a way. You know what I mean? It was like geared towards them. And that's how their music evolved. And then eventually, like the first black man that was actually able to um, make music for the white man, he even had to put blackface on.
Wow.
He wasn't black enough for the white man's perspective, right? So when you think about all of that, you think about the evolution of Native music and Latinx music. Everything is going to be taken, and everything's going to be whitewashed. And it really sucks that people are born like as souls, right? If this is what you believe, whatever. If I come into this Latina body, it's not my fault. If I come into a black body or a white
Right.
body, it's not my fault. What my ancestors, what my people in the past did, isn't my fault now, but it is my responsibility to acknowledge that and then to think and apply those things whenever we teach dance and
Hmm.
with the perspectives that we do, like what's a feminine movement, what's a masculine movement. Who can lead and who can follow. 10 years ago, there were instructors that said women couldn't lead. And they would actually tell women in classes, you can't lead.
Yeah.
You're a woman, you're a man, you need to lead. You're a woman, you need to follow.
Hmm.
So I just want to dismantle all that. They say,
Yeah.
one of my friends, Eugene Tinman, one of his friends said, men are the original twerkers. They twerk all the time. And I was like, what? I didn't really understand missionary position. And he's going to twerk. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh my God. So yes, so men been twerking,
Yeah.
work together and do it in a safe space, have fun. So I actually have a Facebook group.
Yes.
Yeah, and we actually send videos of one another twerking,
Mhm.
men, women, and we support each other, we uplift each other. It doesn't matter how old the people are, doesn't matter what they identify as. It's super fun. So,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
No, and as we're talking as well, I'm showing the comments,
Uh-huh.
and just a person I just saw that tapped in was Brianna Williams.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh man.
Love Brianna. Love Brianna. She is very special. She's also been there from the very beginning of my twerk journey, and she
Yeah.
also teaches dance. She's awesome. Check her out.
Absolutely. And for me, it's to see, because even my wife
Mhm.
was in one of these classes, and she felt great afterwards. And because again, you're creating a safe space
Mhm.
that's free from judgment, that's free from bias, that's free from a gender role of what you're supposed to play,
Mhm.
and seeing that a lot of people just have a better self confidence about themselves after doing one of your classes. It really shows a lot, and it shows the impact that you have. Even something as the classes everywhere, but when people are taking classes from yourself that they feel more personal to, I think it's a greater effect. And you see it long term. You see the post about themselves are more appreciative of themselves, and they love their bodies instead of saying, I wish I had this. Now it's I appreciate this.
Right, right. Thank you, thank you. I really appreciate that. I was shocked when I got all the messages afterwards. Really, I was hoping that my class would be fun and informative, but the effect that it had on people was definitely more of a shocker to me because I was like, wow, the messages I was getting was real. One of the women actually practiced so hard. She felt so great after my class. She pulled her back out that week. She was
Wow.
working hard. Yes. I was so excited. I was just like, bam, bam, bam after the class, and I just kept going, and she pulled it back out. And I was like, yes, that's the kind of motivation I
Wow. I mean, that's really going hard. That's
yeah,
really.
it is. But to touch back on your wife, I mean, that's really amazing. I'm so happy that she felt that way. You know, honestly, I don't know exactly what it is, but from other people's perspectives, it is the fact that I'm vulnerable and I'm open. So I don't use code names for body parts. In my classes, I say vagina, I say nipples, I say
Yeah.
booty. I tell them, look at my booty, don't look away, you know, everything. I talk about body parts like they're ingredients to something,
Mm.
you know, because we can't be like, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
how do we expect people to connect, to truly connect with their body if I'm using code words for their physical being? Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. So
Yeah.
like, that's the first way is to like de-armor these words that are so taboo. You know,
Mm.
"Oh, she said nipples."
Yeah.
People time to react. I say, you know, what I do is because I try to tell people to keep their frame still whenever
Yeah.
we're isolating movement. So I say, all right, you got nipple lasers, put the nipple lasers on the wall, keep them still as you isolate your pelvic movement. And then like some of them, I'll see them react, but because I don't react, I don't give them space to feel uncomfortable. And so then I feel like I guide people into a different frame of mind when it comes to their bodies because they've heard other people say those words and use them either against them or use them in
Mm.
a derogatory way. So I don't blame people for feeling awkward or for feeling triggered.
Yeah. And I really appreciate as well, besides just the teaching, the education, and especially even with these TikTok viral clips that go around that I've seen you post and others, the message behind it is
Mhm.
resounding because now we realize that I've seen it. A lot of the generation now, the attention span is very short. So usually in 1 minute, relaying the messages that I see you share that are so crucial to our society, it really, it's needed.
Yeah.
It's showing that just besides the dance community that you appeal to real world and real world problems, and you're addressing it and your stances on things. And that's amazing because a lot of times people want to separate their dancing from what they believe. And it's understandable, but to see you really pushing your stances forward and saying this is not appropriate, this is appropriate, and you're actually teaching people. You may not see it, but in reality, now people are saying, okay, I was naive or ignorant about this. Now someone's giving me knowledge about it without using big words. It's literally, in bold what you're saying.
Thank you. Yeah, I think we need to deprogram a lot of these programs that we have. You know,
Mhm.
the brain really does everything that it does just to keep you alive. Survival is the main purpose for your brain. So if you went through traumatic things or you grew up hearing a certain thing your whole life, that's programmed into there. Whether or not you support that belief, it's still something that you inherently believe, and it's subconsciously there. Subconsciously, women, we're ashamed of our bodies. We're ashamed of our sexuality.
Mhm.
We're ashamed of anything that makes us look sexy. You know, some women don't even feel comfortable putting on lipstick because they feel like, oh, like, you know, my mom one time she put on some. It wasn't even that red. She was like some red lipstick. She was like, "Do I look too atrevida?" Which means like, and I'm like, "What?
Yeah, like you're.
You have to be daring to wear a shade of red on your lips, you know?" But if you look at media, what is the
Yes.
red-lipped woman usually? She's usually like the hoe or the
Yeah.
you know the one trying to seduce the man, or it's like, I'm ready to do something,
Yep.
got my red lips on. So just the smallest thing, if we're wearing too much, if we're wearing too little, we get criticized. And so like women, I think the reason why I'm just so open and I call myself the Cardi B of the dance scene because
Yeah.
I'm myself, and it's like, but I'm also sensitive because that's how she is too. Cardi's sensitive. You say something that really gets on her nerves, like she'll clap back. So I'm not even gonna sit here and pretend like I don't care what people think about me because I really do.
Hmm.
I don't care enough to suffer with y'all. Like if I
Yeah.
see a different door, I'm gonna take that door and I'm gonna be like, you know what, you guys, I've been twerking in this direction. We can just like
Yeah.
together and into the happiness, and we can make this about us. We don't have to make this about music videos and thongs and big booty hoes. Like you can have a big booty. You don't have to be a hoe.
Yes, that is that again, like you said, media plays a very, very, very key role in helping people perceive others they haven't met
Yep.
and things they're not accustomed to. We have to realize that even in our dance community, the music we love, the connotations and the underlining meanings behind a lot of these songs
Yeah.
is troubling. And we realize that with media, it does control a lot. Even though we say no one will let media control them, it really does. The people are always on their phones. They hear the news first through mostly their phones or TV. So that is sources of media. But even seeing what Brianna's saying of Marietta really lives a life of integration, posting things for the dance community and also making it relatable for the wider population. And she's genuine about it. And that is true because again, we all since my first interview with you and the talks we've had privately and you informing me about people in the dance community that I know or have seen that really have been a lot of the news that's been coming out about them is unpleasant and needs to be handled. And realizing that even from your words and your statements about that, and you're talking about your experiences, you have seen, and I'm not solely saying it's solely you, but especially where from the people I know that have been talking about their experiences, you have been sort of that push for them, that motivation for them, realizing that a person they know that maybe looks like them, that goes through these struggles and realizing how much of a key role you play in their, their actions and what they've been doing and expressing their experiences, no matter how traumatizing it may be.
Yeah. It wasn't easy getting to that point. I had to do that myself first. I remember reading this quote. It said that the master has failed more times than the beginner has tried. Typically, the person that's wisest has been through the most. So before you can, like my friend, the empaths, the ones that really want to make a difference in the world, they're always suffering. Why, Marietta? Why? Is it why I'm such a good person? I don't ever do anything to anybody. And I say, whatever the powers that you believe in, I say goddess, I say God, I say power.
Yeah.
How I'm feeling. But the powers, if you want to be a warrior, if you want to fight to make the world better, if you want to help people, you can't do it blindly. You have to know what you're talking about. So if you want to help somebody out of a hole, you would have first had to get out of that hole yourself. You can't, cheer them on and you didn't do it. You can always give some tips and stuff, but like if you really want to make a difference, life's not going to be easy for you. You're going to suffer a lot. So the people that make the biggest impact and understand the most have that perspective, because like I can't talk about how diverse fruit are if I've only tried bananas and apples.
Yes.
So I try all of them, and some of them are going to be rotten, some of them are going to be nasty. I might be allergic to some of them. So it's all about experience. You have to actually do the work. So for me, before all of this happened in January, as soon as 2020 hit, I felt like it was vibrating different. It was like forcing me to take action for things that I was like digesting.
Yes.
So for the past 10 years, I've been digesting a lot of things in my life. And now it was like 2020 hit and it was like, okay, now let's do something about it. And I didn't really understand, but I just kind of flowed with it. And when I flowed with it, what brought me to was this very scary situation where it was like, okay, I'm going to confront my family, hearing about my sexual trauma because of them and with through them. and I tried to call a meeting to talk to them about it. And the whole situation went completely different from what I thought it would. But I ended up confronting people anyways. I confronted people that weren't in my family. I confronted people in general. And what I noticed was that like a lot of the fear that I had, once I confronted those people, I felt better. But when you do that, you can't confront someone that's hurt you and then expect for that person to be ready to take accountability for what they did.
Yes.
So I think that was the biggest thing that I learned is like, if I want people to say that they're sorry for hurting me, then I need to apologize for everybody that I've hurt too. And so this happened. When I asked these people, my abusers, to apologize and to take accountability for everything they did, people started calling me from out of nowhere and telling me about things that I had done to hurt them. And I was like, whoa. So it was like God was giving me forgiveness. You want forgiveness, you must also
ask for
forgiveness. Yeah. So it's a little hard to talk about, sometimes because everybody's going through something different. When you think about when you were in high school, how many of your classmates were going through something? Because of their fathers, or because of their brothers, or because of their uncles, or just somebody in their neighborhood. You never know who around you has gone through something like this. And so with the same perspective in the dance community, when you have a group of 20 people in a dance class, both men and women in those classes have gone through some form of sexual trauma. So when I stand up there and I'm teaching someone how to move these body parts that are connected to traumatic experiences, I can't just be like, oh, that doesn't exist. That doesn't exist. I'm just dancing. That's not how energy works in the body.
Yeah.
When people start moving those body parts, or put body parts that are connected, or doing movements that might have triggered something, I don't know, that those things come back. You feel it, whether you feel it or you know how to deal with it, or you feel it you don't know how to deal with it. Regardless, it's going to stem. So I didn't really know what to do with that.
Yeah.
So for me, the answer was just to move more, and to move more. What's the word that I'm looking for? Move more vulgarly, just like step into the realm that people don't want to step into. Let's go see what's over there, And I was like, wait, this isn't actually what people are making it out to be. This isn't actually that bad. And I've given birth to 2 kids, pushed them out naturally. I was dancing during labor. I was dancing during all pregnancy. I was dancing afterwards, and it helped me recover. So that's why I don't believe people that are going to connect my pelvic movement to their sexual thoughts. And
yeah, because again, in media, that's what you see, the sensationalizing of what body movement. There's always an action that has to lead from that, and not just appreciating the body as itself, male or female. It's more of the over sexualization of it. And it really kind of stems from a lot of us from our youth. That same token was granted, and we were seeing things at a younger age that people said that's for adults. We were seeing things at a younger age and being influenced, but realizing over time, and now in the year 2020, but the past few years, realizing I've always seen it because I've always grown up with women who are very strong in my household, but realizing that a lot of the victims of trauma, male, female, whoever, they have a voice, and they're using their voices more than ever now, no matter the consequences, because they can gain a sense of freedom. And realizing from my first talk with you, and you telling me about those past traumas in a sense, then many of my interviews after, realizing a lot of the people that I'm speaking to, yes, we're speaking about your dance career, but you are also, as the guest, taking me on a journey of your life and what it took to get there. And talking to people, some people who've had really great lives growing up and everything just worked in place for them. Others who've worked their butts off since they were young, but others who worked hard and were going through their own personal traumas that could have sent them either way, and realizing how special it is to see people succeed after going through so much trauma in their life.
Yes, 100%. And everybody deals with trauma differently. Some people, some extra lives to whatever your belief is. For me, I believe that this cell is just like one chapter of many chapters, and whatever I don't get done or I don't learn here, like I will have that opportunity. And even before I die, everything is cyclical, right? So everything's going to come back in some form. Even things that we feel like we got over, it's going to come back, and you're going to have that opportunity to either take that or not take that, regardless, like good and bad is all about the individual. And so like a bad choice for you might be a good choice for me.
Yes.
And so I think that that's a really important thing for people to understand as well, is sometimes people need to not succeed in the eyes of someone else, but to be able to see them create something and to not have to worry about the financial struggles of the world. Because that right there, with like 95% of the planet has that issue. So if you have money to eat and you have AC, you have water, you have entertainment, you have the average life that, Americans or USarians, I like to call them, have here. The fact that you're on this piece of land makes you privileged. So everything that I have here is, I already don't have to worry about this. Now, if I had to worry about having all of this, and that to me is like, wow, that's when I really, really look up to people who came from nothing, but everyone's struggle is just as real as someone else. So they say children, for example, when a child is crying over something that they lost, whether it's just something like a broken toy, screaming, they're crying, and to you, you're like, that's not a big deal, whatever. But to that child, if you look at brain waves and you look at an adult's brain waves for something that's really traumatic to you, it's the same. Trauma is trauma. So whenever people use art and they turn all their trauma and the things that they've gone through into something beautiful, I can feel it. I can feel the difference between someone who's moving and someone who's like creating and moving energy through their body with music.
Yeah, and again, to have a person like yourself in our dance community that really is pushing that limit and showing how beautiful it is just to move your body and to not have a sexual undertone after that. And I'm seeing now women from different parts of the US posting public videos of showing the inspiration from your previous class they had with you, and them loving themselves and telling people they love themselves. That really is eye-opening, because we realize that also a lot of dancers, even though they seem extroverted, they really are introverted. And they really go through their own mental battles of self-confidence, of body image. And now you kind of pushing that boundary and pushing that wall aside and saying, no, celebrate yourself. We have a safe space for you, because we realize, just like the media sensationalizes women with curvy bodies or voluptuous bodies, a lot of those women who do have it also have self-confidence issues, because they're kind of told on what that should entail. And in reality, we have women like yourself that are saying it how it like it is, how it should be celebrated.
Yeah, I really like what you're saying there, and that's another opportunity to look at the system. Like it is fact, it is proven that attractive people have more success in life, that attractive people are more trustworthy to strangers. You will perceive me, an attractive woman, and you will perceive me as better than the uglier person that's next to me. What is considered ugly? Let's look at those. Fat, old, in many cases black, right? Let's look at history, how that's gone, the darker, the uglier, right?
Yeah.
There's so many stigmas about what is beautiful and what's ugly. And that's what we have to dismantle. Even someone like me, who is relatively thin, I wouldn't consider myself an hourglass figure. I feel like I'm more shaped like a volleyball or like a soccer ball player, you know?
Hmm.
Regardless, even me, when I post videos and I see a little bit of cellulite on my hamstrings, I, it does something to me. And I'm like, why does the flesh on the back of my leg matter so much? It makes such a deep impact. And not only does it come from things that I've experienced growing up, but it also comes from transgenetic trauma.
Yeah.
So things that your mom and her mom and her mom and your everybody before you went through is in your genetics. And so then sometimes responses, you'll get triggered by something you don't even know why. Why does that make me angry? You might not even notice. The little bitty things will trigger you. Say, for example, I went through a traumatic experience and this man was wearing a specific cologne. 5 years later,
Hmm.
I'm walking through the store and somebody in that store has that same cologne. I have a panic attack when I smell it. I don't even know what triggered the panic attack. My
Yeah.
brain will always remember everything. Your brain remembers everything that you've ever experienced. It records everything. Some things are in the subconscious and some things are on
Hmm.
the forefront, right? But it remembers every little thing that you've seen, heard, experienced, everything. And so then when you hear, oh, women need to look this way, or this is beautiful, that's not beautiful. Even if you want to love yourself, and even if your parents loved you and never said these things to you, just the fact that you live in the world in this generation and that you can hear somebody else's opinion on this device, and it can affect you and it will affect you because we want to survive, right? Ultimately, the goal is to survive. And survival is acceptance. Survival is connection. If we don't have connection, we die. And so that's why I feel for people. I'm a beautiful person.
Hmm.
I tell people all the time, my personality isn't what some would consider a beautiful personality, right? Because I'm loud, I'm vulgar, I'm manly. So if I was ugly, I tell people all the time, if I was ugly, nobody would be my friend. But because I'm cute, y'all listen to me. So use this, I'm going to use this, and I'm going to talk about things that are important to me, And so I know my privilege in being a beautiful, light-skinned woman. And that is something that I have to acknowledge. So when I have my students who have insecurities because they might look different than me, I need to highlight, no, fuck that perspective that someone else
Hmm.
gave to you because it's not true. Like I have a friend back in the past, the way she would freak it so hard. It was just like, man, she was a bigger woman. She was dark. And I was just like, I would look at her and I'd be like, there's not a sexier woman in the world. The way she would just get in there.
Hmm.
Don't tell me what's sexy or what's not sexy. If a man or a woman says to you that they don't consider you attractive, that's their cup of tea. Moving on to the next. That doesn't mean that somebody else doesn't look at you and go, yeah.
Yes. No, it's true. And again, even there is a question that Guy Lavelle says. Now the question is, how do you define attractive?
Attractive really comes down to perspective, right? So some people find attractive comes to what they can gain from what you can offer.
Yes.
Yeah. So attractive to me is like what's valuable. If to me, what's attractive is someone who's successful, then that might be manifested as like a nice car, a nice home, nice clothes, but just because people have those things don't mean they got it together. Right? So attractive really is just like a surface thing. We don't really learn anything about that individual. We have to get to know them. To me, attractive is honesty,
Hmm.
vulnerability, just realness. I know you're not perfect. If you dig deep enough, you're going to find stuff about me you don't like.
Hmm.
The difference is you can talk to me about it. I might cry, I might turn red, I might be embarrassed, but if I feel like I need to take accountability for that, I think that that's really attractive.
Yeah.
One day you're going to be old. It's not going to matter how big your.
Yeah.
One day my face isn't going to look like this. My titties are going to sag. I might get bigger. This shell that has nothing to do with the value of who I am as a person, what I'm going to offer my fiance.
Yes.
So that to me is attractive. Am I attracted to a nice face? Yeah. Am I attracted to not having to starve? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So I think it just comes down to what serves you and also like where you are in your life. For a woman who has her independence and everything she's ever needed, she might only need somebody to spend time with her. She might only need somebody who, sometimes you just want a sex life.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes attraction is just someone who is funny. It's like whatever's filling up your love tank is what you're going to find. And sometimes, maybe you can relate.
Yeah.
But when you're feeling really low, sometimes people you would not consider attractive suddenly become attractive because you're that down.
Yeah.
And so then your bar lowers.
Yeah. Because you're trying to compensate for something.
Right.
And again, what you're saying is true. A lot of people do have the same exact views. It's just also how you've been projecting them is so public and so honest without a filter attached. And that's the difference is there are people that can have the same exact message as you, but the way they project it is different. Mm-hmm. And I'm seeing now more than ever every day a new woman in our dance scene, especially talking how much she appreciates herself and even just doing your classes. But even the memes that you share, the TikToks that you share have so much education behind them about human child trafficking. Just all these issues that, we have many issues going on publicly, but it's the issues underlining the saving the children that are locked in these cages, the pedophilia, everything. These are messages that people have been spreading, but now more than ever, just the everyday common people, not just the politicians, not just the people you can see on TV, but the people that are making their own platforms are using their platforms and their voice to send the message.
Yeah.
And realizing that what you say, I can agree with, but you also understand there are people, there's always going to be some kind of pushback in some way, but you standing by your truth is what I love. And that's what I myself continue to learn to do.
Thank you. I mean, why do you have a social media? I mean, that's the first question we have to ask ourselves. Is it serving? What is it for? What is it serving for? A lot of people say, you don't need to post pictures about you and your partner. You don't have to post pictures about what you ate. Everyone has an opinion of how you should be using your social media, what you should and shouldn't talk about. And a lot of people would rather just see me shake my ass. You would rather just see me shake my ass, right? But you're not going to do that if you can't hear me talk too. You're going to have to look at this side of my body as well as that side.
Yes.
Moving and flapping, because I have children. I've been victimized by people I was supposed to respect. I was told to respect. I was told to take care of.
Mm-hmm.
Don't ruin the family. Don't do this. Don't make people uncomfortable. It was just this. It was that. And that's what I really like about Zillennials. I think I'm saying it correctly.
Yeah, I've heard it the Generation Z or whatever the new generation, I guess, because we all.
They don't give a damn who you are. Wrong is wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what I really like about this newer generation is that like older generation is all about sugarcoating and like if you were respected, anything you said was like, oh well, I could consider that because so and so said it. But
yes.
Newer generations like, hold on, you said what? Let me fact check that. No, well actually there's not substantial and
exactly.
Like, so I've actually lost a lot of respect for you because I thought, and I think that that's what we need to be. We need to stop idolizing people and like, so you said something about child trafficking, and like one of the posts that I shared was this woman who says that she worked in the CHOMO facility, which means child molestation.
Yeah.
They separate them because of people. I'm holding it, out that and they had a daughter, and that a child molester was in the same cell as them, like they probably would kill them, right? But what this woman says is that like every single one of them, that most child molesters are friendly, helpful, charismatic, nice people that would do anything for you, you know? And most of the times, whenever they're doing these things to children, children grow up and they don't even know that something happened to them because they turn it into a game. They like, you know, that's why I say don't use code words. Don't call your baby's vagina a cookie.
Yeah.
Friends messaged me and said that's so true because one of her daughters was getting molested by a family member and she was trying to tell them, you know, blah blah blah, cookie, and they kept thinking she was talking about a cookie, but she was talking about her vagina. And so it's like, don't give code words to your kids because these pedophiles get off on this stuff. You need to empower people. Like even as adults, people still calling, you know, their stuff like toot toot and, you know, code words.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And even though they do it to help other people or to not, you know, just recognize how that can be dangerous for children who are already learning how to have that expression. There are ways that we can educate, but also like realizing that when you're in a room full of people in the dance communities, we're always going to come back to the dance community. Somewhere in there, there's a child molester.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there, there's someone molester.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like we have to talk about it. I have children.
Yeah.
I'm not just gonna be like, well, let me just talk about moving my booty. But what really matters is like that my children don't get trafficked, right? But let's not talk about that because I'm going to turn $50 away a week.
Yeah, it's and I think now with this quarantine and having people who were out of work, it gave people just not even the license, but it really just had people kind of fed up of what they were hiding or things they believed in, and they just said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna just be honest." But realizing throughout the months, especially in our dance community, those words that they put out and they press send have been really beneficial, and some of it has kind of bit them in the ass. And, you know, so for me, it's realizing as having a platform like I'm doing now is being respectful, being honest and transparent, but also willing to learn. Because that's the key is I'm a person that always loves to keep learning. So every guest that I have on has been somewhat different, honestly, and realizing some of these dancers that I admire, how vulnerable they really are, how emotionally unavailable they used to be at one point. Realizing some of them dealt with depression, dealt with addiction and recovery, but felt safe enough. Just like your platform has a safe space for people to dance and move their body. I feel like I'm having a platform that is allowing the dancers that we love or see to have that space. Yes. Because to talk about stuff like that, you mainly pay and most of these dancers that are talking to me tell me here that they go to therapy when those are the topics, especially in our communities, that we don't talk about. We're not supposed to say anything. We're supposed to be strong and realizing these people are coming on this platform and feeling that safe space and saying, wow, you know, I can come here and have almost a free therapy session.
Yeah, absolutely. Therapy, that's another thing that's taboo.
Yeah.
And I scream this all the time. If you're Black or brown, you also have to realize that for a long time, our feelings didn't matter diddly squat, nothing. So we weren't taught to talk about our feelings because it wouldn't have been effective. You know, we've heard of examples of echo chambers, of people who are talking about things that are important to them, but nothing ever gets done about it. So what's the point of reliving my trauma if nothing's gonna be done?
Mm-hmm.
And, as women, that's what makes me furious when people use the whole, well, why didn't you say anything before?
Yeah.
Come on, let's talk about that. The way people deal with trauma, like all of the traumatic things that have happened to me in my life took me years to digest what happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
Years. So by the time something happened to me in 2005. It was about 2010, 2015 that I was really like, hold on, wait a second. Oh, how did that happen? Because then I had kids, and I'd be
Yeah.
like, if this happened to my daughter, I wouldn't be okay with that. But
Yes, because you got a new perspective. It was like, yeah.
you put two and two together, and you realize like some shit is fucked up. Because if I talked about 5 people, maybe 2 to 3 of them, maybe 4, would have the same experience as me. And like, is that really normal? And if it's normal, just because something is normal doesn't mean it's okay. So
Yes.
like slavery was normal, killing Jewish people was normal, like even there's still places in the world that circumcised girls cut off their clitoris. And
Yeah.
even me, my perspective is we shouldn't be doing it to boys either.
Yeah. I mean, again, and then these are the topics that a lot of us, even in the dance community, we agree. It's just that we don't feel our voices will be heard.
Mhm.
And what we've been talking about are conversations a lot of times us as dancers also have privately with each other upstairs in the hotel room when the party's not in our room,
Yeah.
and we're just digressing, we're decompressing and just seeing how the other person is. And I think it is. Mhm.
It smoked or we drink. And so that's not
Yes.
really a healthy way to have those conversations.
Because again, with the drinking and the smoking, it also lowers the inhibitions. It creates a false reality
Safe.
and kind of, yeah, because everybody says once you drink, you kind of tell the truth. In reality, the truth was always there.
Mhm.
It was just you feeling that need to tell it at the moment.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like I'm glad that a person like yourself and seeing how far you've come, and now with the unfortunate pandemic we're going through, now you taking advantage, you being one of the first, in my opinion, taking advantage in a good way of using the online world to help other people feel good about themselves.
Thank you. Oh, I wish that I had just like a list of all the people that have inspired me
Mm-hmm.
that way, because the list is endless. I have so many strong women in my life. Um, my opinion is have people in your life that you look up to, that you want to be like, and allow that to influence you. Because after I came forward about my family, I felt really good. I felt really empowered. But after a while,
Yeah.
it gets hard. You start to think, was that right? Was this, so these women that are coming forward, and men, people that are coming forward, survivors, they might be riding this like adrenaline high and stuff, but eventually that all of those feelings are going to come back, and it can be really hard. And so having strong people in your life that will remind you of that, like, no, what you did was right. What
Yeah.
you did was, you inspired people, like, have that in your life. If it wasn't for the women and the men in my life that did that for me, then it's super important. I can think of some of the first good examples. I don't even remember his name, but it was one of my gay classmates back at Broadmoor High School. I remember he had bleached blonde hair, and I remember he would wear this red G-string thong. He'd pull it over his uniform, and he was just like the loudest, gayest, greatest thing in that high school. And it didn't matter who it was. If you were a teacher, the principal, student, you disrespected him or said anything about his gayness or his existence, he would just slam you in the most beautiful way. And to me, just the LG, I'm not going to say it correctly, it's just super long, the list.
Yeah.
Just the existence
Yeah.
of these people and Black people is, it's like it's taboo to exist. So when you're around people like that, and then you're around gay Black people that are
Mhm.
like plus size, man, I feel like those are the biggest teachers for me,
Yeah.
because they give the biggest, they exude, I don't give a fuck. I am who I am. And I think being from the South really helped me be that way. It's just to be unapologetically me, and to really stand firm for what's right. So um, if any of you guys need some motivation or something, hit me up. Like, I will be that for you. You can send me your videos of you twerking with your stretch marks in your thighs that clap, and I don't care how old you are or what you're wearing. Like, to me, it's beautiful. Dance is expression, and just like remember why you do it. And whenever someone has something to say, remember it's always a projection of how they feel about themselves. You
Hmm.
don't have to accept what people say about you. And if it really hurts, really, really hurts, then obviously it's something that we feel about ourselves. You know, you can come and say something to me that'll really hurt my feelings, and I'm not going to play hard and be like, oh, that didn't hurt, because I have insecurities as well.
Yeah.
So no matter how beautiful you are or how ugly you are, everyone's going to be dealing with their own struggle. So I think that's why it's really important to create your own narrative. Um, and dance is the perfect way to do it, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And honestly, it kind of brings us to the conclusion of this discussion, because we realize that, with your online sessions that you do, and I believe now you have a 4-week booty workshop thing. We're gonna get to that quickly. But for me, having you on this platform, I really thank you for you to being a second time coming on this platform. It means a lot, because I've learned so much from you from our first discussion, and realizing the responsibility I have, and I have to be able to talk to people and listen to people, and understanding not everybody's going to think the same, not everybody's going to act the same, but it's important to listen. We can, of course, have our own opinions on things, but it's always good to get clarity and context, and not to leave any answer too vague. you know uh so again, for me, I thank you for coming on. And at least before we go, would you like to leave us some last words before you kind of give us some contact information? I know you kind of did leave some last words there, but is there anything else that you could tell myself or the people watching as well?
Hmm. Well, first of all, I just want to give a shout out to the dance community. And I want to say that we are all going through such a big change. The whole world is going through such a big change. But for the dance community and artists, like, it's already hard being a dancer. It's already hard going through the things that we go through, and like juggling something that we love so much, and then having to also deal with things that we don't love so much, mixing in with that. But I feel like this quarantine, this whole situation, although has destroyed a lot of people, has also given space for us to really take a look at what we do and don't like. And this is a good opportunity for us to clean up some things. And so use that opportunity. And this is our chance to create the dance community that we want. Like, if you have kids and then you send them off to our dance community, how do you want that to look? How do you want to feel after you come back from the festival? How do you want your heart to feel when you're in a space? You know, like, if you make events, how do you want people to perceive? Like, you don't want them to just have fun, you know? And so let's go past fun. Let's go beyond, like, who's the most fun? Who's the most hype?
Yeah.
Let's talk about people who are really going to help dancers connect with their bodies and connect with their hearts, and take them out of their heads and take them out of their genitalia, you know.
Yeah.
So sexy is good because sexy is it works, right? It'll, if you have a sexy artist, more people will come to your festival. That's just science. And it is unfortunate, because that doesn't mean that that person will be the best for the energy of your festival. So, like, let's just try to look past the superficial um, world that we come from. And I think that's just the biggest message that I have for the dance community. Let's just look past what everyone else told us to look at.
Yeah.
Let's go beyond that and make some really big changes. Stop respecting people because they can dance better than you.
Mhm.
Respect people because they give you reasons to respect them. Trust
Yes.
people because they gave you reasons to trust them. Don't say someone's a good person or expect them to be good people because they're somebody that you admire. Just accept that they dance well, and that's it. Don't give them any more platform than they already have. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So when people show you who they are, believe them, regardless of what they represent to you. And move your booty and be happy, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, absolutely. And at least before we go, can you give us some information on when your 4-week session is coming up and where they can reach you?
Yes, yes. So I can actually share the link on the comments.
Yes, absolutely.
I was done for the event page. Right now, it's only on Facebook, the event page. So, well, if you're watching this, probably on Facebook, anyways. But you just go to my profile or go to the comments and click on the link. This workshop is going to be a 4-weekend workshop, and it's going to be every Saturday starting August 22nd, which is this Saturday. And it's
Okay.
for anybody, everybody. You could have zero twerk experience, or you can be like considered advanced. And this will work for you. Doesn't matter your age. I have pregnant women that signed up. I have people that have back problems. So the level is going to vary. We're not going to be full mode all the time. So don't be afraid. Contact me if you have any questions. And I mean, I'm just so damn happy to be here, Diamond. Thank you so much for having me. I had a lot of fun.
Absolutely. I mean, to be honest, from you being my first guest and now I know they're a person I definitely want to have back on as a recurring guest.
Part 3.
Honestly, yeah, absolutely. Because again, you're just giving so much knowledge, but also the ability to learn. You're learning from other people's experiences and seeing how what you've put into their lives is coming back full circle. What you're saying is, hey, appreciate your body, love your curves, love your stretch marks, and you're getting those effects of people sending you their work and telling you how much they appreciate what you're doing. So of course, you're a person I definitely want on in the future. You know, I definitely thank you for taking your time out, and I know you have your family to take care of, and I definitely can't wait to have you back on. Again, I want you to stay safe out there, especially out there in New Orleans. It is rough, especially with what we're going on. But again, stay safe with you and your family. Keep spreading the truth. Keep spreading the good messages, the messages that need to be heard. And I will be there as well, helping you along and sharing your workshops coming up and all your future projects.
Thank you, Diamond. I just want to say anybody can participate. Your uncle,
Yes.
your brother, anybody can participate. So hopefully, maybe if your wife signs up again, you'll be in the background.
Yeah, I'll ask her for sure. But you know, definitely we'll have the link shareable in the comments section right after this video. But again, everyone, I thank you for tuning in. I thank you, Marietta, for appearing on. And this was now your second interview, and we're definitely going to have you back in the future. I love your energy. I love your messages. So again, have you and your family stay safe, and we'll be back here soon after.
Igualmente. Besos, everyone, and ciao.
Have a good day, everybody, and have a good rest of your week. Bye.